What's going on, Knicks fans? Welcome to another edition of Knicks Latest, your go-to YouTube channel for everything New York Knicks basketball, scores, highlights, updates, all that good stuff right here on this channel. We're building a community of Knicks fans going into the most anticipated season since the Ewing days, since the 90s. A season in which the Knicks can actually win the NBA Finals, who are favored by many to go to the NBA Finals. So you don't want to miss it. We're going to be talking everything New York Knicks. I do take your comments. I use them as content. So ask any questions, critique any take that I have. Anything that you notice about the Knicks, throw it in the comment section. I will gladly respond to it. Let's get started. The New York Knicks beat the Charlotte Hornets 113-108 to close out the preseason. It got to the point now, I think, as Knicks fans, where we just kind of was like, all right, let's go. Come on, let's go. OG's not playing. Mitch isn't playing. Josh isn't playing. Cat isn't playing. We, understand the importance of that final roster spot, but at the end of the day, we just want to see live New York Knicks basketball, and we kind of got that from Jalen Brunson. Jalen had 20 points in the first half. He came out swinging, scoring the basketball. We have all this talk about, what's the back end of the rotation going to look like? What's this going to look like? Who's going to make the team? Who's not going to make the team? But at the end of the day, this team moves and revolves around Jalen Brunson, and he seemed to get into a rhythm in the final preseason game, which is great. Going into the regular season, we're going to have our best player with his best foot going forward. For me, that is the main takeaway. You had Jordan Clarkson step into the starting lineup. I think he had his best game of the preseason, playing a little bit more under control. In his first few games, I think he was kind of trying to impress everybody or trying to, make a stamp. Maybe not just with the fans, but with the roster as well. He took some ill-advised shots. He was a little more under control here. You're missing Josh Hart, you're missing Mitchell Robinson, you're missing Karl Anthony Towns. So there wasn't much to look for in this game. The final roster spot was up for grabs, and I think Landry Shamet did a fantastic job coming out with intensity offensively and defensively. Had a couple steals, hit a three, off the bat. To me, it's exactly what you wanted to see from someone who I was rooting for to make the team. He's the person who I wanted the Knicks to grab. He's the person who I wanted the Knicks to sign when everything was kind of towards the back end there, and it was like Ben Simmons, Malcolm Brogdon. Well, I was, pulling for Landry because of the position he plays. I think he holds a lot of value as somebody who can guard the perimeter, as you saw last game, and also hit the three, as you saw last game, who can fit in, and who also, had a decent run in the Eastern Conference Finals when Tom Thibodeau called his number. So I was happy to see that. Young guys played well. I thought the Knicks played overall a decent game, and they were down, 4 other top rotation pieces. So, it's not a game, like I said, when the preseason started where you're looking at the wins and losses, but the Knicks did a great job in the preseason with their record. The process looked good, speeding up the basketball, more wheel action in the half court, more ball movement in the half court. Jalen Brunson playing faster in the half court. There's really not much of a waiting game anymore like there was with Tom Thibodeau. So you see the Mike Brown effect right away, but it's going to be interesting to see what it really looks like come Wednesday night against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Really excited to see it happen. Hopefully everybody is healthy. It is a little concerning that Josh Hart really only played 7 preseason minutes. We don't know what we're getting from him yet. He had the little back tweak. He does have a splint on his finger. I don't know what Josh Hart we're getting. I hope he plays opening night. I doubt he's going to sit out. This all feels pretty precautionary to me. I don't think there's any reason to be concerned with Josh Hart, but we did not get to see him play with the starters. We didn't get to see him really play with the bench, and we didn't get to really see him play at all. So, how is he going to fit in with everything? That's to remain to be seen. Mitchell Robinson sitting out again. He's going to be on load management this season, which is something that was news to us, for the most part. I think we all kind of expected Mix's minutes to be managed and monitored, considering his injury history and what he means to the team. But for the coaching staff, Mike Brown, to come out and actually just say it is another thing. So I wonder how many games Mitch is not going to start or just not going to play. The Knicks might have this hybrid starting lineup where Mitch starts and then Josh starts. And, we made this whole deal about what's the starting lineup going to look like. Well, we might have a couple because of the load management here with Mitchell Robinson. I don't think he's going to play many back-to-backs, if any at all. So that's something to look out for, but just as long as he stays healthy and is ready for come playoff time, I think the Knicks will be okay. Now, I mentioned before Landry Shamet and him playing. The roster has been finalized. The Knicks have waived Garrison Matthews. Malcolm Brogdon retires. At the end of all this, there has been no trades. Tyler Kolek's still on the team. Gautier still on the team. Landry Shamet gets that last roster spot, at least for opening night, at least. And that's what it is. After all that speculation about whether or not the Knicks were going to trade away some young pieces to get 2 people on the roster, maybe 3 people on the roster, they just end up with 1. They go with the guy they originally signed, Landry Shamet, someone who can play off the ball, shoot the corner 3, play defense on the perimeter against a little bigger guards, someone who I was advocating for from the beginning. Makes a lot of sense to me. I'm for it. I'm with it. At the end of the day, we're talking about somebody in the back end of the rotation, right? We're not talking about someone who's going to start games. We're not talking about somebody who's going to average 25, 30 minutes a game. This is somebody who's going to catch a few DMPs, who, whenever people need to rest, he's going to be in the rotation. Maybe he's in the regular rotation as a 10th man. Mike Brown has said that he wanted to expand the rotation, play 9, 10 guys. Maybe he's back there, but he's going to play like 5, 10, 15 minutes a game. He's not going to get a lot of minutes a game, so not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, but also nice to have him back. Malcolm Brogdon retires, Matthews gets waived, and there you have it. Landry Shamet, final guy in the roster. Congratulations to Landry. Now, we focus Knicks, Cavs, Wednesday night. To me, the 2 best teams in the Eastern Conference by a mile. I think they're on another tier. It's going to be a very, very, very interesting litmus test to start the season. We're dealing with a Cleveland Cavaliers team that has been together for years now, who seemed to pop under Kenny Atkinson last year. Evan Mobley seems to be ascending. This is not a new team. I don't want to say the Knicks are a new team either, but you do have a new head coach. This is year 2 with Karl Anthony Towns. It's a new system. So there might be some unfamiliar moments during the game. Who knows? The Cavs know who they are. They know what they want to do on offense. They know what they want to do on defense. And they're coming into Madison Square Garden trying to make a statement. It's going to be a very interesting litmus test for the New York Knicks. I'm just expecting them to be competitive, to be there at the end. You want to get the W. I expect them to get the W because it's a home game and because I do think they have a little bit more of a talented roster, but you just don't want to get blown out the building. You want to show that there's process. You want to show that there's signs of, okay, this is a new team. We know what we're doing here, and we have something going. Last year, the Knicks didn't have any regular season wins against the Cavs or against the Thunder or against the Celtics or against the Warriors they didn't beat anyone worth of anything in the regular season. Now, you get to the postseason, you beat the Celtics in 6, and all that goes away. But that still scratches the back of my mind where it's like, not so much that the Celtics series was a fluke, but it's like, all right, can we show up this year against the better teams in the league and make a statement? Or are we going to be wondering all year, can this team beat anybody good? Last year was not fun when it came to that. I know they made the Eastern Conference Finals, but there was a lot of worry. There was a lot of doubt. I think that led to, Tom Thibodeau being fired as well. I think you forget that. The Knicks didn't beat anybody last year in the regular season. It'd be nice to have a winning record or close to a 500 record against the best teams in the league this year. Winless again last year against the Cavs, against the Celtics, against the Thunder, against the Warriors, against the Lakers, against the Clippers. The only really team of note that they beat was the Nuggets, and that was when the Nuggets were trying to find themselves. So let's get off to a good start Wednesday. Let's win our first game against a quality opponent. Let's turn the page on last year. I think that has a big thing to do with last year as well. You also want to get a win, early on because you want to show that, okay, new coach is here, new system is working. There's no need to panic. We got this. I think Wednesday's a pretty big game. Obviously, it's game 1 of 82, so it's not the biggest game in the world. I'm not going to sit here and act like the sky's falling if they lose. But it would be nice to get a victory, to turn the page from last year and move forward. All right, let me know what you think about the Knicks' final preseason game, about Landry Shamet making the final roster. Let me know what you think about the Cleveland Cavaliers coming into the Garden on Wednesday. Predictions for the game. We'll get to it tomorrow before Wednesday. We can preview the game together. I'll have a more in-depth preview about who's playing, who's not playing, injury updates, all that good stuff. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, drop a comment, and I'll see you tomorrow for an episode of Knicks Latest. Peace.